Yo, Sub-Zero here, and welcome to another one of my countdown videos. Today, I'm going to be talking about 10 animes that I grew up with. Don't expect anything new here, so let's get into the time machine and visit the animes from my past. We're starting this list with an anime based off a popular video game. Get used to it because there's several video game based animes on this list. Sonic the movie, running about 60 minutes. I guess this is a movie? But it's really just an OVA marketed as a movie for its English dub release. I recall buying the VHS version of this surprisingly great anime back in 1999. I went all the way down to Manhattan Mall because a friend of mine named Charlie told me that he bought the Dreamcast VMU for 20 bucks. For those not familiar with this ancient device, the VMU is basically a memory card that lets you save your game files for the Sega Dreamcast. Now again, this was 1999, so the Dreamcast was just released, and of course I had Sonic Adventure. To my surprise, he was lying. The VMU was well over 20 bucks, but I couldn't go home empty-handed, so I purchased Sonic the Movie on VHS for 20 bucks. Unfortunately, I didn't own a DVD player yet. In this OVA, Sonic and Tails find themselves helping Robotnik regain control over Robotropolis, his self-made city. Apparently, he was kicked out by a giant mech who looks unusually familiar. Anyone who knows a thing or two about Sonic storylines can probably guess by now that it's all a setup. Robotnik's true plan is to capture Sonic's data and finalize his ultimate creation, Metal Sonic. Or, according to Eggman, Hyper Metal Sonic! I want to say the fight between Sonic and Metal is pretty awesome. Has a Dragon Ball Z feel. But what I really love about this OVA is how the 60 minutes just flies by. It's all because of how fun it is to watch. It never takes itself too serious, and we get to see Sonic go full speed on multiple occasions. If you're a Sonic fan, you owe it to yourself checking it out. And yes, I approve of the English dub.
Now I'm stuck!
I love the 90s. I especially love anime commercials found on VHS during that era. I remember owning the Fate of Fury movies and watching the Viz Media commercials for Ranma 1/2, the movie 1 and 2, which the latter of the two is my next entry on this list. Ranma 1/2 Ni Hao My Concubine. Now I never had the chance of watching the Ranma 1/2 series as a kid, but I did get to see posters of it alongside imported VHS tapes in a store called Dragon's Den. I believe it was found somewhere near Yonkers or Cross County. All I know was my dad drove me there on Sundays with my brother from time to time. They had tons of anime posters and much more. Although I had no experience with the series, I was exposed to the Viz Media advertisements for the movies like I said earlier.
It seemed like a typical day in the neighborhood around the Tendo training hall.
I wanted to see them so bad, and my good friend from 2nd grade, Jarrett, got his hands on a bootleg copy of Ni Hao My Concubine. It was hilarious. Now the concept of Ranma 1/2 is simple for those who never heard of the massively popular manga turned anime. Ranma is a guy who turns into a girl when he comes into physical contact with cold water. It doesn't end there. His whole family is cursed. One turns into a pig, another a duck, and his dad transforms into a panda. Throw martial arts and some hot chicks in the mix and you have a romantic comedy that goes all out with its jokes. During the second movie, Ni Hao My Concubine, Ranma and company get shipwrecked. They find themselves on a strange island that has some deep, dark, magical secrets. All females wind up disappearing at one point or another, in which forces Ranma to investigate. It's revealed that a group of foes are behind the disappearance of these women in hopes of finding their leader, Toma, a bride. Not just any bride, but the perfect bride. And ding ding ding, surprise, who's the perfect bride? Ranma's high school sweethearts. You already know how this turns out. But trust me, the laughs are frequent, the animation is top notch, and the characters are awesome. Plus, there's a lot of hot anime chicks here, with full fan service. You really don't need to know anything about the series to get this one.
The rhythm.
There's very few adaptations in the world of anime like Samurai Pizza Cats. The only series that comes close to it is Ghost Stories. Samurai Pizza Cats is a 52 episode series that doesn't follow the original Japanese script, steering the show towards a comedic direction. And trust me, it's funny. Considering anime wasn't as popular as it is today, the liberties taken here were common during that time. Characters were given exaggerated traits, storylines completely made up, and the music created to match the wackiness of each episode. The amount of pop culture references present makes it a product of its time, but can be enjoyable even today. I used to watch this show on the WB11 here in New York City before it was rebranded to the CW. In fact, I think it was around 2 p.m. Monday through Friday. If you haven't watched this one yet, it's available here on YouTube and also on Crunchyroll for free. If I were to name a show I was a closet fan of, it would be Sailor Moon. I'm pretty sure this was the first time seeing a magical girl anime, unless Rainbow Bright counts. Anyway, I've read Sailor Moon didn't really take off here in North America until being picked up by Cartoon Network, but I don't remember it being that way at all. I was first introduced to it because I didn't have cable TV during a huge part of my childhood, so the basic channels were my main source of entertainment. Well, other than video games, that is. During its original run on WB11, merchandise was being sold everywhere, from Woolworth to Toys R Us. I'm talking about binders, folders, dolls. Let me not get started on the pretty pencils. I watched the show every day it aired. In fact, I recorded just about every episode. Notorious for its original English dub, Sailor Moon was heavily altered. Toned down violence, character names changed entirely, different background music, added transitions, and who could forget the infamous theme song? One that I still consider best in the series. Wait, am I the only one who remembers the song Rainy Day?
Rainy day, man, on your shore.
This show ran for 5 seasons, each bearing a different title. Sailor Moon, Sailor Moon R, Sailor Moon S, Sailor Moon Super S, and the not localized for its time, Sailor Moon Sailor Stars, which I believe Viz Media is in the process of dubbing as of this recording. But that doesn't matter because the Viz Media dub sucks, in my opinion. That version is kept as close to the original Japanese version as possible, especially the names. So that means no Serena, Darian, Amy, etc. I grew up watching the original series all the way up to S, so maybe I'm a bit biased with the original English dub. Remember my friend Jarrett I mentioned earlier? We used to talk about Sailor Moon in class in front of other kids by calling it SM. That way, the other kids didn't hear us say, "Oh, did you catch yesterday's episode of Sailor Moon?" Sad, right? One more thing. I gotta get this off my chest. I had a huge crush on Serena and Mina. Definite waifu material. Okay, let me make it clear that Samurai Shodown, the motion picture, is a terrible anime. Definitely belongs in a top 10 worst video game adaptations ever. Why is it on this list then? Easy. I grew up watching this crap. Now, to give you a little history on my gaming background, my dad bought me a Neo Geo CD back in the day. Samurai Shodown 1, 2, 3, and 4 were games I played a lot. I wanted the Nintendo 64 really bad when it was released in 1997, and my dad told me that he was gonna rent it for me one weekend. As I waited for my dad to arrive from work with the console in hand, I was disappointed to hear he couldn't rent the N64. Instead, he rented Samurai Shodown, the motion picture. I was about 12 years old when I first saw this garbage, and guess what? I loved it. It wasn't until later on in life when I bought the movie for myself that I wondered what the hell was wrong with my 12-year-old self. I couldn't believe how bad this movie truly was. Horrible dub, even worse story. Oh my goodness, the character adaptations and the animation are really bad. If you decide to watch this for yourself, get ready for the largest compilation of freeze frames. You'll believe you're reading a manga. Samurai Shodown the motion picture follows the story of Haomaru and the legendary warriors, a group of heroes that are sworn to protect the world. Unfortunately, they are killed in a battle against a former member of their group, Amaxa Shiro, who chose to betray them to follow a dark evil being which I forgot the name of. Haomaru and the other holy warriors are reborn 100 years later, eventually regaining memories of their loss and mission to defeat Amaxa. It's bad, but honestly I can still throw it on from time to time just to relive my childhood. There is a lot of action here, and you would think anime and action make a good combination, but never have I seen action so boring. In fact, there's too much action here. It's funny to see characters execute their special moves from the video games because of how cheesy they look. If I were to name one good takeaway from this anime, it would be the ending theme. Does anyone remember the Sci-Fi Channel before it became the home of Sharknado and other so bad it's good movies? I do. The Sci-Fi Channel that aired anime on Saturdays. I was introduced to a lot of my favorite anime movies thanks to that channel. Galaxy Express 39, Area Zerem, Green Legend Ran, Keishan the Robot Hunter, Armitage, and Tenchi the movie, Tenchi Muyo in Love. I recall walking through the movie aisle in Virgin Mega Record Store and seeing a laserdisc of this Tenchi Muyo in Love. I was shocked at the awesome cover art, but figured I'll never get the chance to watch it. One Saturday morning I was sleeping in and my brother ran into the room telling me to wake up because they were giving a new anime on Sci-Fi Channel. I immediately woke up, got an empty VHS, and started recording Tenchi the movie 5 minutes in. I made sure to not record the commercials too. Now, if I haven't mentioned this already, I never saw the TV series similar to my situation with Ranma 1/2. And like the Ranma 1/2 movies, you don't necessarily need to. An evil life force who goes by the name Cain travels back in time with the goal of changing the course of history. This causes Team Tenchi to follow Cain into the year 1970, where he hopes to kill Tenchi's mother. 1970 is high school days for her, leading everyone to go undercover to protect mommy as transfer students. That's really the story. The subtitle Tenchi Muyo in Love is really questionable, unless I missed something. Sure, this is a love story between our protagonist's mom and dad, but why the name Tenchi Muyo in Love? He doesn't fall in love. Anyway, there's not much action here, but what you will get is hilarious dialogue between the girls who hover over Tenchi. And the story, although a little meh, is enjoyable. Maybe my nostalgia for this one clouds my judgments, but I say check it out even if you never saw an episode of the TV series. Who did not watch this in the 90s? Dragon Ball Z became the first shonen anime to reach mainstream status here in the US. Being Toonami's flagship title, it wasn't first aired on that channel. The show's initial English dub debuted here in New York City on channel WB11 every Sunday, but ended halfway through the Frieza saga. Even before the Frieza saga, I bought the Tree of Might movie uncut on VHS. In English, with its original Ocean dub. That was awesome. You're going to laugh, because in my circle of friends, we labeled each other according to Dragon Ball Z characters. I was Gohan, my friend Marco Cruz was Vegeta, Christopher Charleston was Krillin, Mark Polo was Goku, Charlie Pagan was Yamcha, etc, etc. Yeah, I know, it's actually not funny, it's kinda sad. The build up to fights and hype levels in DBZ really left an impression on all of us in school. The high speed battles and training throughout each season really worked. I was so obsessed with DBZ, I visited the computer lab a few times a week just to print out a ton of Dragon Ball Z pics. Remember GeoCities? Yeah, that's where I got all my pictures from. Eventually growing tired of watching reruns on TV and having no hope of getting more episodes dubbed in English, we bought the later movies with English subtitles, Cooler's Revenge and Wrath of the Dragon or Dragon's Fist. We couldn't believe the Super Saiyan forms displayed in the movies. We just didn't understand why they were changing into gold-haired versions of themselves. Yes, the subtitles were pretty bad, but that was answered when Toonami blessed us with the remainder of the Frieza saga, followed by completing the series in its entirety. Sadly, I never got to finish it on cable because my mom couldn't afford keeping it. Thank goodness for DVD box sets. Dragon Ball Z is still influential throughout the entire shonen genre. Heck, there's still video games, movies, and even a brand new TV series still being released. But to me, the best will always be the original anime. Let's take a look at another sci-fi anime that made me not only wear out the VHS tape that I recorded it on, but also purchased the DVD in early 2000 and its eventual sequel, Armitage the Third. Now this movie's based off the OVA, which spanned 4 episodes. This movie takes those episodes and compresses it into a 90-minute movie, leaving out about 30 minutes of footage from its original cut. I saw the movie first and didn't even know the 4-episode OVA existed until the internet became what it is today. In Armitage, our leading lady is an android who goes by the name Armitage. She seeks answers about her existence. The movie starts off with her as a cop being partnered with an android hater. This android hater's name is Ross. Eventually Ross warms up to Armitage as he sees the struggles of her existence. You see, Armitage isn't just any android, she's what's known as a third, enhanced robots that act and look exactly like humans. With political complications of these thirds living in society, we have our story. It's not Ghost in the Shell, but it's pretty entertaining, especially when watching the English dub. With voice work from Elizabeth Berkley and Kiefer Sutherland, Armitage and Ross are a believable pair. The soundtrack was pretty good too, especially from the final showdown. This was an anime that made me look forward to having a family. It's not the theme or subject matter of the anime, but the relationship between our two main characters was so good that I always wondered how it would feel to have someone on my side who had my back at all times. Something I didn't experience until recently. Talk about a failed shonen anime. Flame of Rekha is pretty obscure. I guess it never really took off, and if it did, it was too little too late. Flame of Rekha was Naruto in the 90s. This anime is based off the popular manga and even changes quite a few things around, from character designs to shortening the story immensely. Here we follow the story of Rekha, a teen who comes from a ninja bloodline and gains the ability to control flames. Rekha falls in love with a girl named Hanabi who also possesses a unique power, the power to heal. Evil forces are made aware of this healing ability and its potential to grant immortality. Rekha chooses to protect Hanabi by becoming her personal ninja. He is later joined by his friends who are given unique weapons, These weapons each hold an elemental power, from deadly winds to manipulating liquid into sharp objects. There's about 40 or so episodes here with a few arcs. It's a shonen, so expect a lot of fights with people standing in the background explaining what's happening to the viewers. I didn't know this type of anime was categorized as shonen during this time. I used to just call them fight anime. I did say this was the Naruto of the 90s, but this isn't really as ninja-esque as Naruto. In fact, there's really nothing ninja-like here with the exceptions of Rekha's origin and the manga given to each character. I love this anime, but I cannot stand Rekha as a protagonist. He's everything I hate about the shonen scene. A male adolescent that pulls winds out of their butt paired with some sort of code that basically spells out never give up on what you believe in. The supporting cast makes up for it though, and the fights, although not on the same level as say Dragon Ball Z or Naruto, are pretty good. I say it's similar to the earlier fights of Yu Yu Hakusho, minus the great animation and art style. This is the #1 anime I have fond memories of taking the 6 train down to Canal Street, aka Chinatown, and buying sets of VHS tapes at a shop called Octopus Kingdom. Octopus Kingdom had a deal where each VHS tape was 10 bucks. You buy 2 for 20 and 3 for 25. Flame of Rekha had 4 episodes per tape, and I went there almost every weekend to buy them. I loved spending Saturday nights watching all 4 episodes in a row with my brother and sister. We made fun of the animation and inconsistent art style throughout. Again, it was very entertaining though, and once they enter the tournament, it reaches its peak. I can't say it aged well with the bad English dub, but I still recommend checking it out, or at the very least, reading the much better manga. I grew up on SNK Fighters, and when my dad came home one day and bought us Fate of Fury the motion picture, I watched it about 1,000 times. I never saw anything like it for the time. A fighting game anime with a solid story and awesome fight scenes. I felt like I was getting to know more about Terry, Andy, Joe, and Mai. Anyway, if you're not familiar with what Fate of Fury is, it's basically a fighting game series from SNK, Capcom's rival company from the 90s. The same company which brought us the infamous King of Fighters games. Fate of Fury predated KOF. This movie is the follow-up of 2 OVA movie specials. The first one is called Legend of the Hungry Wolf. It introduces us to Terry, Andy, and Joe. This OVA puts them against Geese Howard, a bloodthirsty corporate jerk who kills off Terry and Andy's father. The second one is called The New Battle, a direct sequel that pits Terry against the brother of Geese Howard in hopes of finding a real challenge. And trust me, this guy is tough. Plus, Mai Shiranui is introduced here. The 2 OVA loosely follows the video game storyline. Fate of Fury the motion picture is a unique story with brand new characters exclusive to this movie. Here a group of people are out to collect the Armor of Mars, a set of armor that gives its wielder unlimited power, making them essentially into a god. Terry is approached by a girl who begs him to help stop her brother. It's a lot of fun. This movie was a pretty big deal in Japan during its time. When Viz Media brought it over to us, they made sure to advertise it in all of their VHS tapes.
Now, Terry must fight to protect the beautiful Sulia. Can Terry and the others stop her twin brother Lawakorn before it's too late?
It even includes the voice work responsible for Akane from Ranma 1/2 and Bakotsu from Inuyasha. You know, the leader of the Band of 7, the best arc in Inuyasha. Anyway, I can still watch this today in its entirety. My friend Jared and I watched it over and over and over as we were kids. We memorized lines and even told everyone we knew about it. During the release of this one, anime wasn't as popular, so whenever we showed it to someone, they were blown away by the art style and fights. After this movie, we were given Go Kaiser, another video game based anime from the same dude behind all 3 Fate of Fury movies. It's not as good as the Fate of Fury series, but barely clothed women aside, it's enjoyable. Just watch these Fate of Fury movies first. There you have it, guys. I hope you enjoyed getting to know what I watched growing up. I want to know, did any of you watch this stuff? Whether that's a yes or a no, I'd like to know in the comments section. I'll be sure to reply and have a conversation with you. Again, thank you for the support, and if you're also interested in any of my other countdown videos or video game reviews, check out the cards listed on the video or the link in the description below. Later, guys.